these are the various playlists of my life and the attempts I have made to compile this story, which is me. So again, I'm welcoming all into the dojo, giving folks some time to arrive, making sure that cameras are working on both pieces of electronic here. Again, I shared that my name is Mama Shah. I welcome you to the Center of Being Dojo here on Instagram and Center Your Being TV. This is a space that I have designed to share the various thoughts of my consciousness, my meditations of my heart, as I shared before, sharing again now for my YouTube page as well. That camera took a little bit of time to get up. And so the various playlists of, the jewels for my gems, the vulnerability vibe, dojo delights, and of course, as I shared, how to survive family and friends while in transition, right? So I wanted to come to you today in this electoral season as I have been gushing forth, pouring forth in my own Aquarius way, the nutrients and the nurturing of my heart, right? I'm always in character. You can best believe that. So just like the Aquarius symbology and astrology being that of the water bearer, the star card in tarot, she who sits on land as well as has a foot in land and a foot in sea and is pouring forth the waters, the giving waters of life, which I dare would say are knowledge and wisdom. I very much am in character all the time, though I attempt not to be performative. But I think my first and unknown love to even myself was the theater. And, you see me adorned in what I would consider to be my sacred and regal robe, most regal, that of the cow, which I was for Halloween. And I think that I'll be able to make some connections as we move through the space of sharing today. And so over the last several days, I have, like I said, been pouring out my heart, my sadness, my consternation, my disappointment with the activity and presence of divine masculine within this shared space, right? The center of being, the source of vitality, that begins here in the heart space, right? So sharing my desire that we as a people do not get caught up in rhetoric and antics that would seek to divide us, right? And I, as a premise, believe that the division, the divisionary process, the divisiveness is around a negotiation of power. As I've said before, politics is a negotiation of power, right? And so in this political season, which interestingly enough for me, we fall into upon the eve of the Hallows Eve, Halloween, Los Dias de los Muertos, and then we are moving into the cycle, All Saints, All Souls Day, the various traditions of the fall season, which also include on November 2nd, the coronation of the King of Ethiopia within the Yoruba traditions and the traditions of Ifa, the day that includes the celebration of Oya and the mother. So much significance at this period of time where we're recognizing ancestors, for just a way to put it into a space that we can hold, right? The observation of ancestors, the honoring of the rights of balance, okay? And so my efforts over the past several days have been to insert my head. I tend to stay in my own spaces. I'm quite an isolationist. I'm definitely what many would consider to be an introverted personality, though as a rising Leo and a Leo moon, I can definitely appear to be like the sun and extremely extroverted in my personality and caricature. Um, However, the deepest, most rooted parts of me are very introverted, internal. I'm one of those people who I definitely spend a lot of time in my head and in the meanderings of my heart. Okay. And so I was definitely in my feelings, as I've shared on some posts on my personal Instagram page about some of the antics of Mr. Ye, Kevin Samuels, Black Manosphere, the executive body that is the social media culture, executive body of social media culture. And I've said again that this social media platform, which I call enterprise media, this opportunity to take the the entity of self and um, provide the commodity of commentary, opinion, um, to be shared within a profile, right? Um, and ultimately, you know, we get these likes, we impact this algorithm based off of the conversation that we're having, and those algorithms are then fed into a larger economic system, okay? And within that economic system, ads and other things are generated to get more population involvement. And so, you know, I often describe this as the inner workings of how we mobilize a base, an electoral, a deciding. When I say electoral, I've said that in some of my other posts. So when I say electoral, a decision-making base. Okay. And so I've had some challenge around what I've seen in this particular electoral cycle with what I see is the attack of man upon woman, particularly in the Black and brown community. The antics of Ye with, as I've stated before, White Lives Matter, and his um, assumption, make an ass out of you and me, that they do indeed matter, which they do, because his baby mama is indeed white. And of course, I believe that as a mother, as a womb bearer, her life does matter. And I take no fault with that at all. My challenge is, though, as I stated, that he also has a surrogate baby mama who is a woman of color, and does not her life matter as well? And so understand that that has been the root of my disarray. It has been the root of my need to come forward and scream from the watchtower, you know, darkness is here, come the day, but also the night, you know, balance. You know, we can't have the sun simply existing in a space, the sun, the sun, the son, existing in a space where it is not willing to acknowledge the night. It is because of the night that the sun is able to be aware of its own existence, right? And so I become internally challenged when I see this imbalance taking place. Now, it's also, just for my personal life, been a very challenging time in a week as it relates to what I would consider to be the attack upon my own legacy. My children are in various spaces of moving into autonomy and independence and adulthood. My daughter, as I have shared, is maturing a child in her own womb, and there are lacks of protection in place for her. And as I stated, I'm challenged by that. It's a challenge for me that there is a lack of protection for her because she is unwed at this time. We all have this space of judging the woman who bears life, refusing to acknowledge, in my opinion, that women don't get pregnant by themselves. We don't, whether we are participatory in the act of procreation through the deliverance of our womb in submission, willingly we participate in procreation, or quite honestly, we can be taken against our will and be penetrated. It's still the same act, the act of penetration into the deep core center of ourself, to engage in this negotiation of power, the power to procreate life, right? The power to procreate pleasure, the power to procreate power, to multiply oneself. And so, women, we are especially vulnerable because we are on the receiving end of that dynamic. So we can offer ourselves in submission willingly and or not, right? And so these were my challenges over the week that I was attempting to process and pour forth from my heart, bear my water, as it related to these subjects and my frustration around so much of the commentary over the past year, 6 months leading up until this point. I mentioned Kevin Samuels and his rhetoric and how it pushed a certain disdain for women of color. I attempted to, on some of my social media pages, point out how this type of thinking has an impact on the populace, right? Mentioned that there are these electoral races taking place, and we have these new opportunities to design a new social construct that balances out the hard and heavy hand that is patriarchy with the soft and loving divine. You see that? Mother consuming, taking in, receiving father, that hard hand, that phallus, and mother so soft in her being, receiving, submitting. You see what I'm saying? And so I wanted to bring some balance to those conversations, because if we don't, we run the risk of, especially as it relates to women of color, who I believe are the cradle of all civilization. We are the prototype. If we put a target on mother's back, what does that mean for our ability to self-create, to procreate, to participate in this exchange where we are negotiating power, right? Who does the father negotiate with if not with the mother, right? And so I've been pouring forth my heart, talked about the woman king, various other subjects that have been hitting me over the last several days. And I've been challenged for years around bringing these thoughts forward, right? And so I have a very good friend. I'll mention her now. Please check out her page. She's amazing, an amazing, amazing poet, Miss Tamara Madison. Tamara, I love you. And for many years has encouraged me around prose, around writing, around the ensemble of my words, right? To assemble them in a space, to write, to get them down, and then of course to share them should I see the need be fit, right? As I struggled in my life with depression and anger and love and responsibility, obligation, contribution, service, leadership. She was always there encouraging me. Shira, write it down. You're such a wonderful speaker. Write these words down, and publish them in some type of treatise, some type of something, a book, something, because these words deserve to be heard, if not by anybody but your own self, right? And so I've been doing just that over the last years, really, but with intention in these spaces for about 6 months in terms of developing the concept, right? And why am I saying all this? I'm sure that this seems all over the place, but it is not. I'm very intentional. And so, some words have been coming to me over the last 24 hours. I had kind of an overwhelming inundation of my personal spirit. Got beleaguered by my own sadness at the events that were taking place before my own eyes as I'm watching Black and brown media women such as Tiffany Cross be let go from her platform, and then watching Black and brown men who sit in positions of authority on platforms connected to their physical prowess, their power as athletes, condemning other young men of color, and like I said, yay, condemning the Black woman, in my opinion, as he and his antics would suggest that white lives matter because his baby mama's white, but what then of Black women's lives do we not matter? The attacks on Lizzo and Megan the Stallion, and just, it's just so much. And so I felt overwhelmed. The attacks on my daughter, it just overwhelmed me. So I had a moment yesterday where I had had enough. And I said, I'm not sure I can do this anymore. I'm not sure I can share these thoughts, these words. I'm not sure I can continue to participate in this dialogue. I want to put my head back down in the sand and, just go on about my maneuverings. And, it came to me that, yes, indeed, I must turn my back to such things and be focused on the principles and practices of my life, right? I must come back to the center of my being, which is my martial arts discipline. This is the discipline of the dojo, the center of one's being. And so through the good friends that were in contact with me, I was able to be delivered from the confusion, the turmoil, the angst, the hurt, the pain that was existing in myself, to return to a basic centering of the self in peace, right? And so some words came to me, it's interesting. I'll share this. As I went to bed last night, after thinking so much and getting myself recentered, I was closing down for the day, feeling quite good. My daughter returning to me in a space of health and wealth and peace, and all feeling like it was balancing out again. I received some words from a very good friend in the Atom who shared with me this thing, and I'll share it with you. It says, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Buddha. Do not let yourself become triggered easily. There is no spiritual elevation when this happens, only binding of your soul's energy, your center of being. Just kind of show that there. Okay. Show that there. Now that hit me in a certain way. It hit different, right? Because I didn't think that I was intending to do anything that made my center go off from my being, right? What I felt the need to do was to speak up in an effort to realign, to bring some balance back to the conversation, right? This light over here so you can see me a little better. And so it was not my effort to be out of balance. It was my effort to insert myself in an attempt to negotiate balance, right? And so I wanted that sent me to bed thinking, why is it when women speak up? Why is it when women are offended by the actions and behavior of our counterpart, the male, we're always seen as being off center, being off balance because we're not in a soft, docile, dismissive, submissive space of allowance? Men can frolic about and say the most hateful of things to each other, bear upon us their hatred and their vitriol. But when we speak up, we're out of balance. It didn't sit right, though I understood the intent. And again, as I stated, I had placed myself within a space all on my own of recentering, realigning my being. Why is it that the brother reached out? What was it that he was triggered by to respond to my decrees in such a way? So I went to sleep. I looked at the post, the text message, and I was at a place of peace, and I was tired. It's been a long week, so I went to sleep. And I shut up in the morning, right around, I don't know, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, 2 o'clock, which is the witch's hour. Me in that particular area of time from 2 until 5 in the morning tend to be a time when I'm up in prayer and meditation, moving through, like I said, the manifestations of my heart. And so I was called to alarm within myself and woke up in a response to myself about that thing which I had gone to bed contemplating. This division of power and the lack of balance that exists in the continuum presently. And so, I'm going to share with you these words, right? And so the reason why I'm sharing, let me be clear. Also, Tamara, the first thing that I saw when I woke up this morning, I got up, I believe was my alarm going off. It went off, and then there was, you get a notification. And so a notification had come from Tamara's page, and it was words that she had shared about when she wrote the poem in the wake of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I know I'm going to say his name wrong, but the young actor Boseman, I'm so sorry, I'm at a loss. But the actor who played the Black Panther, right? And so the deep loss in her heart created a space of an ensemble, an assembly of words, a poem, which was published, and in an effort to give this greatness tribute, right? And so I woke up to her words almost as a reminder to myself to speak my own truths, to continue in this space, sharing my own words, my own thoughts and manifestations as a tribute to us all, to the balance of nature, to both father and mother, son and daughter, heaven and earth, yin and yang. I felt a need to share these thoughts, and this is what came. So the name of this piece, if you will say, I don't think it's a poem, not sure what it is. It's a collection of words, as I said, an ensemble of words. And so I'm going to read it as it exists. It feels titled in my heart, An Ode to Our Father. I'm telling you what I see. This programming is old. The oldest, the most ancient, as in most high ascendant. An ode to our Father. Lord, our Father who art in the heavens. And so every night that I go to sleep, I typically recite the Lord's Prayer in an effort to, put myself in a peaceful place. And I've changed up the wording of that particular praise, song, prayer of thankfulness, because I found myself absent in it, right? So I had, like I said, gone to sleep the night before, going through my mantra of Our Father, having received from the brother the words, and like I said, this came. Again, I'll start. I am telling you what I see. This programming is old, the oldest, the most ancient, as in most high ascendant, an ode to our Father, Lord. Our Father who art in the heavens, already misogyny. Greek meaning misos or hatred, gyne meaning woman. As defined, misogyny, as defined as the dislike of, contempt for, ingrained prejudice against woman. Ingrained, put in, prejudice, prejudgment. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Holy honor be bestowed upon him, her, missing, hallows, to mean holy, sacred. It made me think, Halloweth, of Halloween. And what would be the etymology of Halloween? Gylo, whole, unified, good omen. Halogen, halga, holy person, saint. Hallows, saints. Halloween, the season. All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. The effort and the ritual of bringing light to the balance of darkness and light. Hallows Eve was known as the last night of the year in the Celtic calendar. Old Year's Night, the night of the witches. It extended into the first week of November 1st through 7, those 7 days. And within that space, isn't that our electoral season? Interesting. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Misogyny introduced by a patriarchal construct. The meaning of God, the representative face of God to men, is inherently male. We should literally and figuratively look up to our Father who art in heaven, as the heavens would seem to exist only for him. What of that ego? What of that ego? And I also might interject here at this point, what of the mother? Where is her presence? Why is her presence excluded from the mantra? Why is her absence intentional in the sacred meditation, the prayer, which is the giving of thanks, an ensemble of words? The calling to the Father seems to be so specific in its presentation. Our Father who art in heaven. So then, what is heaven? Is it a place where only He can dwell? Again, then where is the mother's place? Where do we find her? And then, do we? How do we? If we should do it, offer her prayer, praise, and thanks. What is our reverence to her? And already I begin to question my own existence if I'm never known to exist, if no representation of me is here in the prayer. What of that ego? Again, why is she excluded, excommunicated? Am I to assume she's done something wrong to receive such treatment? And if she has, what is it that she has done? Could it have been so great as to offend him that he, who won't even allow her to be mentioned, but not and not but, yes, no? Isn't he the supreme most high, ruler of all things, master of wisdom, knowledge, and jurisprudence? If so, if I come to know this, then again I must ask, what of her? Why her? Who is she? Why did she? How did she do it? What are the reasons for she? I am she. What is my purpose? Again, you, he, Yahweh, have me questioning my own existence. And so if I am a creation of he, why is he all things? Why me? What of these egos? The absence of the one creates the very presence of the other. And so again, I offer this programming is old, ancient, the oldest, apparently created before time, was a construct. As we know it, the matrix indeed. A set of binary codes existing in an awkward symbiosis with one and another. Because though they exist, they must, we are evidence of this in acknowledging them. Because, and though they exist, they must. We are evidence of this in acknowledging them with praise. The presence of one demanding, requiring the absence of the other to even exist. The visceral response they must have hold for the other, if indeed they could or would be capable of that. Is he even? He's in the untouchable space of the heavens and exists beyond my ability to touch him, this Father who art in heaven. Is she then earth? And if so, how do I praise her or not? Should I not? She's not mentioned here. How do I acknowledge her? Here. Here. Mother Earth, Father Son. I am their child, the offering creation of the pairing. But I am a daughter. Maybe this prayer is for the sons. S-U-N. Sons. S-O-N. But then again, there is one son, not many. Can this be a prayer of thanks to the Son of himself? Can this be a prayer of thanks of the Son to his Father? If so, then what of the daughter? Or perhaps this is her prayer to the Father. What has he done to be so worthy of her praise? She is not even mentioned, yet she succumbs herself in prayer to him, as if thankful for his very presence. If she is praying to him, but I have to assume that, make an arse out of you and out of me. Why is she not mentioned in this prayer of thanks? Her submission is the utterance that recognizes his being, and her not. Wow, she seems so powerful to, with quiet resignation, offer him her thanks and praise for Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Ah, hear her. She is mentioned. Finally, above as above, so below. Give us this day, the child, our daily bread, the fruit of our labor. Man in heaven, the sun, and earth, one word to describe her, the mother, daughter, who labor. The labor for mother and daughter is for children. The labor of men is of wheat, of substance, of food, of provision. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses, transgressions against one and the other one, each other, as we forgive those who trespassed against us. Forgive ourselves. Grace, mercy extended to the self, forgiveness, and the others, each other, the positive and the negative. Father, mother, heaven, earth, son, daughter, day, night, yang, yin, one and then one, the other. Does she come first? Must she produce the praise and thanks for the creation of him, in that his presence gives her purpose for existing? Is this the issue? Would the ego of both be present or not here? Again, that would be a 1 and a 1, a 2, or a binary code, a number. It would seem then that light, as day, as it were, is at odds with night, darkness. Maybe. And everything but the Tao, which I believe exists to uplift her in presence, if only to acknowledge her. Presence of the divine feminine ideal, because one cannot exist without the other. Again, what of these egos? Lead us not into temptation. Temptation of what? Sin? Let's assume this, just for the sake that we are humans, woman, beings. We exist in a spectrum of possibility of occurrence. We exist in a spectrum of possibility of occurrence, man and woman, one able and necessary to create, thus recreated in the other, and the constant balancing act at best, sharing of space, power together, one offended almost seemingly, one often and almost seemingly to spill over into the other, as if to completely consume it. Forgive this trespass that we engage upon each other, man, woman, father, mother, son, daughter, heaven, earth, one upon the other, into infinity and beyond. Buzz Lightyear, what a great clue. Deliver us from evil. Now we see the divine pairing. Deliver us from evil, where I must become, where the one, I, ego, must become two in order to be us. Where there are one or more with voice uplifted, two, the number 2, the 1 + 1. Then what is evil? Deliver us from evil. What is the transgression that would be given a name? We are praying to the Father in the heavens. What is more powerful than he? To be delivered from what? Evil? Deliver us from the opposition of him or the anti of us? We together bind our coating. Deliver us from what? Not acknowledging that? Forgetting that? Living in defiance of it? Evil is opposite good. We're good when we are giving thanks and praise to the Lord God in the heavens, on earth as it be. Is not then, forgive me, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, heaven and earth forever. Amen. And then I offer Ashe Aho. And then I thought about these words, power, the Father, and glory, the Mother. Glory meaning honor, beauty, magnificence. Giving the Father the power to praise the Mother, and then power, the capacity to act or do something. Glory, known as KVD or Kevad. Yin, exist as glory. It is the feminine. Love is. Yang, power, does something, alters the state of being. Peace be. Being is the highest form of doing anything. Regulation, self-control, moderation, states of self-being. This is a mantra, the prayer, and why. I don't know. Its programming is as old as time, perhaps before even then. An ode to the Father. Love, Mama Shah. So I don't know if I was convoluted in that space, when we share words. But with that effort, what came to my mind is that at the end of the day, as we recognize yin and yang, as we recognize mother and father, earth and sun, son and daughter, the heavens below, the earth beneath, as above, so below, this balancing act that is the foundational premise of nature. These two units, the one and the one, creating the binary code that is the code of everything on this planet. It is the code that creates the very ensemble of our beings in our DNA. And so I kind of wanted to, share these words and then offer in my sharing, why do these things come to me? Why do I feel this need to pour forth? We play around with celestial math, not really understanding the divinity of sacred geometry. So I wanted to share with you some things about myself that I've come to understand over the years, many years, since childhood. Shared that I was an orphan child, an adoptee, forced to discover who I was. And so I started within the center of my being, discovering myself. As I said, this conversation of the center of being has been one that has been with me for years. And I approach my footsteps into the next part of my millennial life. I am 50 at that halfway point, and soon to be 50 and a penny. My name is Shira. When you do the numerology to my math, it adds up to a 1-1. I was born on the 29th day. 2 plus 9, again, a 1-1. And my middle name is Levine. named for the tribe of Levi, a Levite, the lost tribe, the tribe of priests that traveled within the 12 tribes of Israel. But let me get back to this number of 2 that seems to be a recurring theme with me, 2s and 4s and the double digit of 1. 2 is the Empress's card. It is number 3 in the book of Tarot. As I stated, it represents the Empress or the divine feminine. As you know, I have titled myself Mama Shah, Mother Empress, and it seems so fitting. It seems so fitting without my even knowing what it was that I would be called to do. You know, they say if we knew the nature of our calling, we might step away from it because it was so big. Today's cup is a harvest cup. I celebrate the harvest today, the harvest of this season, the harvest of these words, the harvest of this wisdom from the deep center of myself. And so I wanted to kind of talk about some of that original sin and the reason why the divine feminine has been removed from the prayer. Her presence not acknowledged other than to say in one word, as I stated, and I'll share again, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Amen. Right? Mentioned only once, as earth, as above, so below. And so that got me to thinking. It did. This thing known as the divine feminine. And so I thought I'd share some things with you about my name. My name being Shira Levine. This is my given name. A meaning that I have been told by many within the Hindu tradition. I used to work at a radio station here in Atlanta, Georgia, a nonprofit radio station, and there was a community of Indian from the continent of India, music programmers, and they heard my name and were surprised that I would have this name. Like, who named you? Do you know what your name means? I said, well, I've heard some things, but please share with me, what does my name mean to you? Remember, I'm an orphan. I don't know why I was named. I don't know how this 14-year-old girl who got pregnant with me, had me by the tender age of 15, how she could give me such a name with so much power in it, so much science, so much mathematics, so much sacred geometry, so much of a purpose intended in just the display and the giving of my name. So I said to them, no, I don't. I share with me what you know, share your wisdom, share your knowledge. And what I was told is, well, your name Shira is a derivative of an old ancient Hindu word. The word comes from the Urdu and it means poet. She who writes would be you. You are a community. You are a member of the community of ancient scribes and poets. Wow. I remember just being floored at this. I have volumes and volumes and volumes of books that I've written that I've not shared, poetry that I've not shared, plays, short stories. I'm constantly writing. And as I started this off with, my very good friend, my mother's sister, Tam, encouraged me, please bring forth these words. Oh, I thank you so much, Mother Tam, Mother Sister, that you saw me, that you see me, that you receive me, and you appreciate me. We don't talk every day, but I'm so thankful for your sisterhood, your encouragement, and your support. And thank you for your words that came to me this morning that I should share. And so, in Urdu poetry, Shari means words powered with our emotions. Words powered with our emotions to make it magical and amazing. My very name means prayer. The Shriya is a representation of the goddess Lakshmi. She is auspicious. She represents luster and prosperity, beauty, grace, power, brilliance, dignity. My name is Shira, often pronounced Shriya. Just depends on who's reading my name. I've often been told, even called Syria. And then again to my middle name, Levine, which was a name that was derived from a male name in Hebrew culture, Levine. Levi, meaning the joining of. Levi was born of the biblical figures of Jacob and Leah, who were the mother and the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. Levi was the Hebrew patriarch of the Levites. The Hebrew tribe, not allotted land, were the priests or the assistants of priests in the temple. The tribe of Levi had a special calling to hold the priesthood and perform ordinance under the law of Moses. Because of this, they lived among all other tribes and were not counted the same. The lost tribe of healers, priests, and sacred practitioners. They slaughtered the idolaters of the golden calf, which was seen as worshiping wealth and abundance, the fruit, the harvest, the labor. The golden calf, the Canaanite god El, representing for the Levite the worship of wealth. And I thought, interesting. So then I started looking up various calf-like or cow-like derived goddesses and gods, and of course came across many. I'm going to tear these names up, but I'm going to attempt to give them to you today. So in Sanskrit, one of the most ancient languages known to man, Kamadhenu, and I'll spell it Camadhenu, Kamadhenu, mother of all cattle, miraculous, who provides her owner whatever he desires. We have to remember that in India, the cow is honored, not worshipped. There is a Hindu veneration of cows. She provides milk and sustenance in oblations or offerings and produces fierce warriors to protect God. There's also a custom within the Lakota people of the white buffalo calf, which is a goddess. The Native American goddess who brought herbal medicine and the pipe, the peace pipe. She also developed the 7 sacred rituals of the Lakota, one being keeping of the soul, another being rite of purification, another being crying for a vision, another rite being the sun dance, another rite being the making of relatives, another rite being girls coming of age, and of course, the last being the throwing of the ball. I want to rest there for a moment, and I'm going to repeat those to you. So the Lakota 7 rites, the 7 sacred rites, the first rite being the keeping of the soul, the second rite of purification, the third rite crying for a vision, the fourth rite the sun dance, the fifth rite the making of relatives, the sixth rite the girls coming of age, and then of course the seventh rite is the throwing of the ball. So I want to read what was shared by Black Elk, Lakota in 1953. At this sad time today, among our people, we are scrambling for the ball, and some are not even trying to catch it, which makes me cry when I think of it. But soon I know it will be caught, for the end is rapidly approaching. Then it will be returned to the center, and our people will be with it. Telling you all, these are just the ancient things, more ancient than time, more ancient than the construct of anything, the binary code. But let me share more. Then there I came across the name of Nut, presented as a cow, because this was the form she took in order to carry the sun god Ra on her back to the sky. Nut gave birth to the gods Osiris, Horus, Seth, Isis, and Nephthys, and is the holder of the 42 laws of Ma'at. A heifer is known as a female cow that does not have offspring. Depicted as a cow goddess, Hathor, again, one of the 42 state gods and goddesses of Egypt. Hathor was known as a powerful and popular goddess and was a goddess of love, beauty, music, dancing, fertility, pleasure, and she was the protector of women. Her power was being able to make any being do her bidding. I wanted to share these words with you today because it's not my effort to be out of alignment ever. You know, this Halloween, I wore this very same outfit that you see here that I've worn before. I bought it with intention. Why am I so attracted to the cow? Why am I attracted to the cow? So very attracted to the cow. Because the cow is honored and the cow is sacred. It is seen as a provider of subsistence. It is a symbol of fertility. Its back was able to bear the sun within the space of self, to birth the sun again, calling this time the morning. As the sun was removed, so then we have the darkness, the time we know is night. I am very much attracted to the idea that divine feminine could be considered a sacred partner in this dance, known as life. I, as you are aware, have been, as I shared, struggling with the fact that we're losing sight of this. We are being distracted. We're being distracted from the fact that the greatest sin known to man is to turn towards one another in transgression. That is the evil. Man should not turn against woman. Woman should not turn against man. We need each other to exist. One exists, one's absence defines the existence of the other. Light needs dark. I believe it's why, as I stated, in Tao, we say yin and yang to provide some balance and give back some balance to honoring the mother. Why is it that the Levites were tasked with the responsibility of killing those who worship the sacred cow? What do you think that patriarchy and misogyny was about? What was the effort of that ego? And so, we hear Ye speak of the tribes of Israel. We've had so much conversation going back and forth about that which is considered to be a son of the nation of Israel, who is to be considered this and that. What I ask you is, what of the absence of the daughter? The daughter who, as you see in me, is housed within the house of the Levite, this house dedicated to male priests. Though I am here as one to share these sacred words to remind you of the presence of the divine feminine and the power that lays within in our submission, because we submit to our God, to our Father, and give him praise and homage. Therefore, he can exist in our submission to him. But our submission to the Father, to our men, does not mean that you should respond to us with such traitorous behavior and to act with such vitriol upon our personhood, to hate us so. And why do you hate us so? Because we are the source of your abundance? Because for a moment you must be removed from your position so that we can own the night, so that we can participate willfully with you in the sacred act of rebirth, of procreation? I'm encouraging you, my beautiful family. I'm encouraging myself. Let us not forget these sacred mantras, these sacred truths, these facts that are not hidden to us. They are what make up the heart of the binary code, what makes up the fluctuations in these algorithms, how it is that we cast off to ourselves the messaging that we wish to receive back by our likes, by the sharing of our opinion, by being counted, by participating in the process. Like I said, you're already a part of the process of electoral campaigning and politics, which is the negotiation of power in every single state. As soon as you take on a birth certificate, a documentation that you indeed exist and there are numbers attached to that record, that Akashic, that record, we have the ownership, the responsibility to participate. We're already being counted. So you say, I don't wish to be counted in this polling, but I'm willing to be counted in this polling. These things, these concepts, they don't make sense to me. That's why I encourage brothers and sisters, no matter who you vote for, get out and vote. You're already participating. It's already set up divinely that we participate in the act of being counted. One brought to the other Already we have binary code, one with the other, the two. Make us. And we must participate in order for there to be balance, that there should not be a tyranny of the majority, that there not be oligarchies, and that there not be authoritarian governments, that there not be tyranny. We have to represent ourselves with balance. We have to be willing to step forward, both brother and sister, to protect Mama, the divine feminine, through which we all come, including the father. For without the mother, how is it that the children should offer their voices up in praise if she should not create them by being willing to submit to the power of Father? It's just a constant symbiotic existence. And so, I thank you. I appreciate you. I really do. I see you. I see you. I am watching, always at the tower, watching. I see you. I take you in. I don't always push my head out there to be seen. I'm busy with the work at the tower. As I stated, I'm a Levite. I'm a priestess. I'm engaged in sacred practice and ritual. However, and I receive you, this exchange. I receive you, the act of submission, the act of healing. You have to be willing to receive. And in receiving, there is exchange. I give to you. I see you, I receive you, and I appreciate you. I uplift you. I uplift that in you that reflects the highest vibration in me. And I'm grateful for that. Appreciation. I'm grateful. So thank you. I appreciate all who have joined me in this space today, or who will perhaps join me in a future time. I do not know. I don't know these things and these things and these things. I don't know, and I'm trying to figure out even how the technology should operate. But I am thankful for the opportunity to have come to you today to share these thoughts. And so I'll close with this, because my efforts are so imperfect, and I often feel like I betray myself with my own words. So perhaps I will use the words of another. I'll share this with you now in my closing. A mother's creed. I gave birth to you, but you came with no instructions. All I knew was that I loved you long before I saw you. I know I made some mistakes, and for that I'm sorry. I was doing my best. I did what I knew. Everything I did for you, I did from love. You are my child, my life, my dreams for tomorrow. I will always love you, and there is nothing that could ever destroy my love for you. As I stated many times, these are not hate-filled speeches, though there is a bit of emotion on them, passion, the Urdu, to provide the content of word with magic, praise. And so sometimes, I apologize that if, my rantings and ravings may seem like a spanking of sorts, but perhaps they are that, because all things I do for you, I love you. Not just, not in some space to pretend as if I am the Almighty. I'm speaking to my own children, whom I've made several mistakes. Everything I did out of love. And there is nothing that you could ever do, either of you, that could ever destroy my love for you. And then I apply that to the whole of the masses. And I, again, in this moment, as we come to 1 hour and almost 11 minutes of this broadcast, I thank you so much. I love you. And I honor you. This is Mama Shah coming to you from the center of being, where I encourage you to remember that your vitality begins here. Ashe.